Hey guys, it's Legendarma TV. Good to see you. Today we're going to talk about the recent changes that happened in the rebalance patch for Spellsword Arisha. As you all know, my first ever video guide and first ever guide on YouTube at all as well has been Spellsword Arisha video guide that I've made almost a year ago. Throughout the year, Arisha received some buffs, but there haven't been anything, any major changes that actually would, make Arisha gameplay a little bit different. Now, obviously, I'm not talking about, the regular combos or anything, but some of the abilities received some major changes, so now this class is actually going to be even more easier to pick up for new players. First of all, let's have a look at my text guide that I've made back in 2019. Was it 20? I'm not sure. No, it was, it was 19. Yeah, that's what I made it. So, March 16th, there was a change to mana, and it can no longer exceed more than 500. Diffusion Warp's damage have been reduced by 5%. But Diffusion Warp's attack hitbox now has better reach on monsters with unusual shapes. So it's always been a bane of Diffusion Warps, and they actually buffed it a couple of times, but it was still not enough. After this rebalance patch, they actually buffed it even more, and we're going to talk about it a little bit later. The counter drain mechanic, MP gaining mechanic, has been changed as well. So before, you would get a little portion of stored mana if you just failed it, right? So you just did a slash, you didn't counter the attack with it. Now, if you counter the attack, you get 50 MP, and you also get 50 MP whenever you use the ability. So pretty much nothing changed to counter drain. I would say it's still the same. You would still want to do the counters, the most of the counters, right? To gain that 100 mana back. So it's pretty much the same. Active Runeblade received some changes, and also Active Resonance received some changes, and we're gonna talk about it in the video up ahead. Please enjoy. Alright, so let's have a look at the first major change that happened to Spellsword Arisha. Mana does not exceed 500 anymore. As you remember, before, you could actually stack more mana, more stored mana on top, and it would be invisible, right? So as you can see right now, I have a little bit of stored mana, the dark blue one. If we convert it back, it's going to be 500, so we're capped at 500, and I continue farming mana like I used to do before, right? For example, to have some stored mana that we don't see, but it's there. Now see what happens. If we go back to Mana Blade mode, and spend some of this mana, you can actually see that the stored mana is not there anymore. That's it. It has been removed. So you cannot exceed the 500 cap of mana that Arisha has. I don't really see that as a nerf, neither buff. It really, like, a lot of people don't usually do that at all, so it's not that big of a deal, to be honest. But it's there, so whenever you're gonna be, playing against, let's say, Main, right? Because you could actually stack a lot of stored mana through Need, so you would have 2 mana bars. It's no longer it's there. The second change that happened is Diffusion Warp's damage has been nerfed by 5%, but they also buffed the hitbox for it. And people started freaking out. Oh my gosh, unplayable, 5% is a lot, I can't play this anymore, I'm rerolling to Tessa. I mean, probably a lot of people will reroll to Tessa because, she's cool and stuff, but even though that the damage on the Diffusion Warp has been reduced by 5%, 5% is not that big of a deal. Yes, Diffusion Warp is one of our bread and butter abilities or skills that deals enormous damage, and you use it probably the most out of everything. But according to the hitbox, speaking of hitbox, the hitbox became so much better, especially since the Quick Tracer has been introduced. Whenever you just you cancel your warp, right? You cancel your diffusion warp with a quick tracer, which you do the diffusion warp and then E, so you stick to the boss better. So the quick tracer always, well, not always, but in most of the scenarios, it would miss on the bosses, especially small bosses, and you would just waste your diffusion warp. It would go on cooldown. It doesn't happen anymore. Any shape of the boss, any I don't know, any freaking size, width, whatever, you name it, the diffusion warp now goes smooth even with quick tracer. So actually it balanced out the 5% damage reduction from the diffusion warp. So don't freak out. Diffusion warp hitbox is actually really, really good, and you're gonna be missing your diffusion warps way more less. Now, we're going to skip the changes to the counter drain because nothing really changed there much, so it's not worth mentioning. It's pretty much the same. Let's talk about Ruin Blade. Now, Ruin Blade, as you know, required you to input a large amount of inputs, and it drove a lot of people away from the class because it's been really, really hard to do. You had to input, you click the Ruin Blade button, right? And then she goes into the stance, and you have literally 2 seconds to input WS, AD, AD, WS. And that was only one stage. Ruin Blade has 3 stages. It has been simplified, finally, for all of you who always wanted to try Arisha, but always been like, but, Ruin Blade is quite, it's a key thing to do. Man, I can't really pull this combo off. It has been simplified. Now, whenever you click the Ruin Blade button, all you need to input for the first strike is WSAD. That's it. So, WSAD, and it goes off. That's it. However, the second and third strikes remain the same. The second one, the input is the same, ASDSW, and the third one is either SW for the slash or AD for the fancy flip that counters more attacks than a regular SW. So it's been simplified, it's awesome, it's huge, and you can now try Arisha, and maybe you will actually become the best Arisha. Who knows? So it's really good. For the veteran players, it's going to be a little bit hard for the first time, maybe for a little bit, just like me, because I'm used to the big input. So I actually have to stop for like 0.1 second, and I'm like, whoa, it already went. What's the problem for veteran players might be here is that whenever you input all the the old combo, you're actually going to transition. Basically, you're going to transition to the second one and third one. If you input everything fast in Ruin Blade, you actually can fail it. That's what happens with the very bad macro thing of the skill. So whenever you cancel the first stage, before it even goes off, you lose, stored mana that you get from the Ruin Blade. You instantly transition to the second one, and you can actually mistime it as well. So for veteran players, it's just, it's all about the muscle memory. So very soon, we're all different, it's going to kick in for everybody, and we're going to get used to this change. So it's really awesome. Also, whenever you go to the stance, as you can see, I'm taking the hits. Yes, Ruin Blade gained super armor properties, so now you are not gonna get flinched from the Ruin Blade, resulting into complete failure of the active skill, so you can actually continue doing it, and just do your inputs, do the strike, and then the follow-ups. So it's amazing. You have the super armor, the inputs have been simplified, so this is really, really awesome. And lastly, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you will be really happy about it, is the change to Resonance. Now, if you remember correctly, Resonance is a 6 seconds cast active skill of Spellsword Arisha. She creates the Mana Storm, she sends it, you have to choose the direction where it has to go, right? What happened to Resonance? Okay, so let's cast it right here while Dullahan is attacking us. I got hit, but I'm still casting. I'm still freaking casting. That's right. Resonance also received super armor, and now it goes off, and whenever you're scoring perfect resonances, it's guaranteed. So, and you can now also YOLO resonances whenever you're not familiar where to send the shockwave. So you can do it now without much penalty. There is a little penalty though. Whenever you're casting resonance, your defense is going to be reduced by 20%. So the damage that you're going to be receiving while tanking these hits while casting is going to be quite nasty. I have 23,500 defense right now, and whenever I cast resonance, it drops down to 19,000. So almost 5k defense I'm losing while casting. It's a little price that you have to pay, but it's not interruptible anymore. You have the super armor and you can cast it. It's amazing. And one more thing, you can actually now cancel resonance whenever you want. I'm not going to show it here because we're on cooldown, but basically you can either press block button or dash, which is diffusion shift, and it will cancel. It will spend all your SP though, and I don't really know, didn't really know who would want to cancel resonance since you now have the super armor. Maybe in like very desperate situations where, in other scenario you would just be killed while casting it, but you can cancel resonance. It gains super armor now, and this is just amazing. It's something that a lot of people have been wanting. Honestly, I don't know what to say about this change. Like overall for new players, it's really awesome, but for veteran players, scoring perfect resonances and some very well timed resonances was really good. But now you can easily do it. You can YOLO them, and this is really, really awesome. That's it. And that's it for today, covering Spellsword Arisha's guide update regarding the rebalance patch that we just got. Overall, what's the verdict? Did Arisha get nerfed or did she get buffed? She actually received a lot of quality of life changes, which makes her played even easier and better. So if we would take the Diffusion Warp nerf, it gets balanced out by the hitbox buff. So overall, I think she remains the same, maybe even better actually. So in current state, Spellsword Arisha is still very, very strong. Definitely a top tier. Not sure about the god tier. I would say the top tier for sure. So this class is still awesome, is still one of the strongest, and one of the most awesome and good looking. Thank you so much for watching. This was Legendarma TV. Subscribe to YouTube channel, join my Discord, stop by Twitch. I'm gonna drop the text guide links if you if you don't really like the video guides on the characters. I also made the text guides a few years ago, and I keep on updating them, so all the updates are there, and I keep changing the the text according to the rebalances, so you will find all the useful information there. Stay safe, I love you all 3000, and I see you very soon.